Islam Moors.
Peace.
Just start up with the prayer. Face the east, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
Islam.
Once again, Canaanland Moors class. Today we have a back to basics class number 8. Name, nationality, name, religion, and title to the vast estate. We'll just start with our readings to be read every meeting. A warning from the Prophet. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate for peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. We also want to just put on the record that this statement being made in 1929 by Noble Drew Ali was based on us being the only ones that had a legitimate nationality card during that time. So to be using it in the form of flashing it to prove something would cause confusion amongst the people who didn't have one, that maybe might have wanted one but couldn't get it because they already had their nationality, and we were the ones that were in this subjugated position at that time. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Now that is relative to all the individuals after Noble Drew Ali transition that came out, said that they're Noble Drew Ali, said that they're reincarnated of him, said that called themselves Mahdi, called themselves Allah in man, and God sent them and whatever else, but not teach people about their birthrights. So it's a prerequisite that individuals who say that they're Moors, that they have faith in what Noble Drew Ali brought and not try to create something new in order to get the people on their side so that they can be progressive or take an opportunist perspective with regard to this information. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways, to be proclaimed in every meeting. Please more. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. Right? So there's a host of jealousy about the prophet and the movement by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. So that goes out to all the so-called Negro, black, colored, conscious black guys that want to push this. They want to push this idea that peace. They want to push this idea that, you know, the Moors this and that, and the Moors this, the Moors that. They always got something negative, or they always got some challenge for Moors. But instead of getting down with the Moorish movement and doing what it is that they're supposed to do, they're going to put out video talking about, let's start up a black city. And then they're going to talk about, you know, yeah, we honor Noble Drew Ali, and we honor this person and that person. If you honor Noble Drew Ali so much, why don't you proclaim your nationality? Stop playing games with people talking about sovereignty amongst black people. Because black people will not ever be sovereign, because there's no such nation called a black nation. So to say that there's sovereign blacks, but then you're not going to recognize Moorish sovereignty is apparent contradiction. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. Right? So, people who are coming into this, people who have been involved in this, they have an obligation to recognize that when Moors start talking, this is not a thing that this belongs to the Moors and other people it doesn't belong to until they become Moors. This information that we have is the people's information. This belongs to the people. And if the people do not take ownership of it as theirs, then other people are going to take it and they're going to do whatever it is that they figure that they should do with it, because the obligation is on every single individual who knows that their condition could be better, knows that they have a certain degree of information more than somebody else, to impart this information to the ignorant so that they can grow themselves, right? I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. Islam. Now, we are going to be talking today about name, religion, title to the vast estate. We want to present these things so that Moors can be clear about their birthright and not be caught up in the schisms that they hear out there relative to Moors, and then they abandon these things under the guise of, there's no unity amongst the Moors, or, oh, this is something religious, I don't want to convert to whatever. If I say I'm Moor, I have to convert to Islam now because, I love Jesus or whatever. That you have to be in the temple to be a Moor. There's all these things that are floating out there. But there's specific things that Noble Drew Ali laid down so that anybody who bumps into the information of Noble Drew Ali could be clear as to what he brought and how it's supposed to influence or impact every individual's life that meets this great educator that majority of us, when we were coming up in consciousness, never heard about, but we heard about everybody else. So there's a reason that he's kept out of, you know, the minds of the people, because what he presented is for the nations of the world. He didn't just come with some concept just for so-called black people, or just for so-called African people, just for whatever. He came for everybody, because everybody right now is suffering under some form of slavery in some way, shape, or form that they don't even know that they're suffering under slavery. They don't even recognize that. It's like it's like with the Justin Trudeau, and oh yeah, you know, well, he's the youngest prime minister ever, so now things are gonna look. No, that's still a private corporation called Canada, that's registered in U.S. Corporation, that's registered in Delaware, that has nothing to do with people. It's a business. Doesn't matter who's the head of it. No different than U.S. And oh yeah, now there's a black president, so now we're gonna get rights or whatever. Well, no, not really, because he's a puppet just like all the other puppets that's been part of that. And there was presidents that were Asiatic before George Washington, so he's not first black anything. So there's people still getting played, because they didn't recognize that there was presidents that were dark skinned before, from Hanson to Abraham Lincoln. Even Abraham Lincoln was Asiatic. You know what I mean? But if it's not, if the people go with the reconstructors of history, then they're gonna go for the de facto or the fraudulent lessons, not the actual real things. That's why Noble Drew Ali told Moors, don't be listening to what I'm saying or whatever. You go out there, study, so that you can know what's what. I can say whatever, because, you know, the prophet and all that stuff, all right, cool. But, you know, there's more information that has to be received by the masses in order for them to really digest what it is that he presented, right? And the presentation of the information that Noble Drew Ali brought for the past 90 years has been based in, we'll say for now, we'll say religion. And that's it. Nothing to do with constitutional or anything, nothing to do with civics. It's been strictly religion. And we're trying to break that mold so that people can broaden their perspective, open their peripherals, and see this from a new perspective. Because it's always been presented from the wrong perspective. That's why there's so many people out here that still call themselves Negro, black, colored, and African and whatever else. Because if they knew about the civic nature of this, if they knew why Noble Drew Ali said you're not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian, they would stop calling themselves those things immediately. But they think that that's just some phrase that Moors toss around. Oh yeah, you're not black, so oh yeah, you know. And then tomorrow they call themselves black. Like, you know, yeah, we're conscious now. We got Ankhs and we got Dashikis, and so we're conscious, but you're black. Clearly, you're not studying, because every single hall of learning in ancient times told you, before you go into the hall of learning, know thyself. And then Matrix came out, and Oracle had it in the kitchen over the door, know thyself, in Latin. And then people still think, oh, that's just a movie or whatever, but the head guy names Morpheus in the movie. You know, coincidence? His name's Morpheus. And then the guy who's Neo is really one, and the number letters spelled different or whatever, because they're trying to let people know what's up, that is really about you. And then Yahshua told you, aren't ye are gods? Like, why are you guys looking at me like I'm somebody? Didn't Most High tell me that ye are gods? But then they forget about all that because they don't study, right? So part of studying implies making sure that anything that you thought, think, believe, have faith in, that you look it up just to make sure, just to be sure that you know what you're talking about. That's why we tell people, when you're getting into this information, make sure you get yourself Unabridged Dictionary, make sure you get yourself Etymology Dictionary, make sure you get yourself Law Dictionary, preferably 4th edition and earlier. Make sure you have Word Translation Dictionary, so German to English, word to English, whatever language to English, because there's so many words out there that we even say that we think they're English words. They're not even English words.
Like Frito Lake.
Right?
Like that's frito. It means to be fried. So they tell you.
Tell you
They
right
tell
there.
you it's fried. They
Right.
tell you, but people complain about high cholesterol. Like they're telling you
They're letting you know.
So it's right there.
Right there.
And even like Hugo juice. Hugo means juice in Espanol.
Right.
So yeah.
Right?
It's true.
Perfect. So we got dictionaries there. We need first thing we need is name. If anybody wants to get those, we got Law Dictionary and we got the regular dictionary. We need name. Now when Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, claim your free national, proclaim your free national name. And again, the reason why we're doing the dictionary thing is so that we can be clear of what is being relayed to us, so that we're sure. Because most of the time, just like the brother said, you know what I mean? There's people, you know, they'll kill some Frito Lay's chips or whatever. Don't even know that what's going on. I mean, they don't even know what's going on. But they eat Frito Lay's every day. That's their chips next to the thing that they're using to dip every day.
Complaining about high cholesterol.
Right? But complaining about they got problems. Right? You got name it? We're gonna name first, yeah. Yeah. All right. Just quickly, so in the divine warning by the prophet for the nations, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. So the free national name right, Moorish American. Moorish American is a free national name because prior to Noble Drew Ali, nobody used this name ever. So this name has no type of attachment to slavery, being enslaved. Executing slavery, or doing anything that is contrary to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. This right here is completely detached from anything heinous, criminal, or whatever. Because prior to him, this name has never been used. Right? You have a name right there?
Yeah. It says here, the name of a person, animal, place, etc.
Okay, now, let me just check this for a second. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Mhm. Yeah, so it says the name of, yeah, it's not right. Yeah. It says, yeah, the name of a person, animal, place, etc. is the word that is used to identify and refer to them, and which distinguishes them from others of the name, kind, or sort.
Right.
His-
So we're not even gonna go to the etymology of this yet, name, because this is specific to a certain geographic and ethnic position. But for lack of not having that right now, we're gonna deal with what the etymology, what the unabridged definition of this is, right? So shoot again with name. Yeah, one more time.
So yeah, basically it's saying the name of a person, animal, place, etc. is the word that is used to identify and refer to them, and which distinguishes them from others of the name, kind, or sort. And this has an example saying, his name is Richard Anderson. What was her them by name? So I don't really get that part. Or what was her name? I cannot describe the officers or refer to them by name. She had first acted under the name of Philida Terrison, so
Right. So name, this is gonna distinguish you, it, places from other things that have one of these, right? Law definition.
Name, the designation of an individual person or of a firm or corporation. A person's name consists of one or more Christian or given names and one surname or family name. It is distinctive characterization in words by which one is known and distinguished from others. And description or abbreviation is not the equivalent of a name, quote unquote. Custom gives one his father's family name, and such praenomia is as his parents choose to put before it. But this is only general rule from which individual may depart, if he choose. As to the history of Christian names and surnames and their use and relative importance in law, see in Ray Snook 2 Hilt, New York.
All right. So name, and from a law perspective, name is general rule. So to take it out of a general perspective, right? Noble Drew Ali, anytime he said name, you always put free national on it, right? To make sure that name, when we use it, one isn't tied to corporation, like you were saying. One that is not tied to Christian, because that's what this also leads to, right? Having a name is Christian, right? Now, when we look at our people historically, they've gravitated to have names. Having a name also ties you to a corporate activity. So when we say title to your vast estate and name, we have to recognize that this is really what this is. And this is a general rule of a distinguisher from other people. So the free national name for ourselves is Moorish American once we proclaim our free national name. Because it's free, so it has no ties to anything that's been enslaved, Negro, black, colored, African, whatever. When we trace the history of all those, black, Negro, colored, all those other stuff, you get, laundry lists of issues relative to those things. When you pull this up, Google or whatever, only Moors is coming up. You're not gonna pull this up and some Jews are coming up or some Africans or some whatever. You pull this up, only people who are connected, tied, relative to the Moorish, Moroccan, Moor, etc. empire, Aboriginal indigenous people is gonna come up, right? You got something, brother?
So for clarity, when Noble Drew Ali attached free national to it, it removes us from the Roman venue jurisdiction type thing?
Right, so majority of people would just say, just like with the dictionary, what's your this?
Right.
And then somebody's gonna, John Smith, Jeffrey, whatever, you know what I mean? Where, if you speak with somebody who's not Christian, they won't ask them what this is.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, family name. Just go talk to these people out here.
Chinese.
They don't use this only.
Chinese.
If you're talking to other people that aren't, for lack of a better term, European, right? They'll say this because in these cultures, you're really identified by the last name first, and then your first name, comes in, because family.
That's really what people want to get at.
That's what they want to really know when they say, "What's your name?" So if somebody said, "What's your name?" and they said, "Oh yeah, Schwarzenegger," then they are automatically know, okay, they're going back to Germany or whatever like that. They can break down Schwarzenegger into whatever. It's gonna be different than saying Arnold. If you said Arnold, that could be anything.
So pretty much just getting down to your pedigree, your line.
Your direct line, your lineage.
Right.
But then now, that's why Noble Drew Ali never said this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he said family name, now it's not free. So as soon as you classify yourself as family name only, just like with the other people, because remember that we're in a different position than a lot of other people in the world as far as humanity.
So,
Because, go ahead.
So where does a name like Roger Moore fit into, the film guy, Roger Moore?
Yeah.
Where does he fit into using the name Moore after Roger?
Well, if you check if you check the family name Moore, they'll have a crest with a Moor's head on it, even though he's a European
Or knight.
or a knight, right? Even though he's a European, but the pedigree goes back to dark-skinned people. That's why he's dark hair, he has dark eyes, and they tried to get the brother to play 007, and everybody's mad. No, my brother can't play that because we've had so many Europeans play this part so good or whatever like that, right? And then going back to him, when you look at his demeanor as 007, right? That's the harem guy. Right?
Yeah,
You got the black suit, you know what I mean? And then he has the strut, you know what I'm saying? And he always has the girl, and he always has the car, and the relative that we always had the whatever, we always had, you know what I mean? So as soon as we start to realize, things like that. Like, hold on a second, 007, the guy who played him was called Moore or whatever. Why they use that guy? They could have used anybody. Because they're trying to put us in the position, or put themselves in the position of having the superiority or whatever like that. Same thing with when you look at all the families, the elite family bloodlines or whatever like that. It's going by the pedigree. You know, whatever. Rothschild, Rockefeller, Bilderberger, all these so-called family names that are tied to some type of elite position. It's not just anybody that has the name Rockefeller. You ain't go to no school out here see some guy named Rockefeller. Rothschild is there, you know what I mean? But you go check banking and you go check oil people and whatever like that, you'll find those people's names in that arena. So where they want to go is where they are right now is get people stuck on this and this only, right? What they do for themselves, they go into this part, family name, whatever like that, without talking like that. And then what Noble Drew Ali was doing was getting rid of all this, family name, name only, and then say free national to tie us to something that is not subordinate to others. Because as soon as we become subordinate to others, then we become their property, i.e. corporation, whatever, etc. Right? Anybody else?
Yeah, so just to recap from the legal definition, it mentioned that it's a general rule that a person's name consists of one or more Christian or given names and one surname or family name, and that it's a general rule. So from which individual may depart if he chooses, and that's the key there. That in law, you have the choice, and if you're a Moorish American, you not only have the choice, but there's no real repercussion for you making the choice. You know what I mean? Somebody who has the choice but can be deported, I mean, sure, they can make the choice and then deal with the consequences, right or wrong. But you're always, that's your birthright, that's your right. So you're in the right to make the choice, which is the legal definition of what it is that they're asking for.
And also relative
They say,
to that,
what's your name?
right? And then relative to that, most recently, same thing with Justin Trudeau and all that stuff. His new foreign whatever minister talking about taking away dual citizenship from people who are classified as terrorists in Canada, right? Making sure that those people who are classified as quote unquote terrorists can't be called Canadian because they don't want to tie Canada to terrorists. But then we check the history of so-called Canadians or whatever, they terrorize Indians in order to be Canadian. But they're not gonna go down that lane with them. Even though they're gonna say, you know, yes, city of Mississauga, which is Aboriginal name, took those people's stuff. There's nobody named Mississaugan out here anymore. Everybody who claims to be Mississaugan is a European right now, right? Ontario, Aboriginal name, right? Ain't nobody who claims to be Ontarian is Aboriginal indigenous individual, is some European, right? So, and it all comes down to the distinguisher. How are you classified opposed to everybody else? So when we look at, right, again, like as a general rule, as far as names concerned, as a general rule, right, if we say, who's that?
Jackie.
All right. Right. Right.
Lee.
Right.
Or Lee, L-I, like Jet Lee.
Wong,
See?
Khan.
Right. All these are distinguishers. So you automatically know, based on where their allegiance lies. But you talk to some Asiatic and they say, but they're Asiatic. They say that they come from Africa, but that's not relative to Africa,
It's like the son of John, no?
right? Okay. Right? You know, you say they came over on a slave ship or whatever like that, but they have nothing to, that's not relative to who they really are. That's just, like it was saying in the law dictionary, a Christian tag for a slave. That's why they branded our people with these names. Because when they say in the dictionary, oh, name and Christian, they're actually talking about a political system, not what people think Christianity, like go to church on Sunday and whatever like that. They're talking about a system in politics. They're talking about this is intellectual warfare against people. And then the people in this position don't think that something's wrong. Even though when you ask them, hey, how do you get the name Smith? Oh yeah, you know, slave master gave us that name or whatever. Okay, so doesn't that clearly mean that something's wrong? If you have slave master's name parading around, going out here buying cars, buying a house, doing all these things out here in the name of somebody else, that's not you. Find me now, like we said, if we go back to even now, but when we were in school, right? The guy whose name was Chan, Jackie or whatever, if that was your friend, when you went to his house, they didn't call him Jackie in the house. It wasn't even anything, they didn't even have a reference point of this. This is something that came about because of school. The indoctrination camps, the concentration camps, that they said, okay, we're gonna call him by this name because, you know, that's the name that's on the passport or whatever ID that they got from this European when they came over here.
Naturalization.
Right? Naturalization. Or that, but we don't know how to pronounce it, so we're just gonna call you John Jan for now. Just, you know, out of, you know, and then they accept it, okay, yeah, no problem or whatever, but they know that their name's not John or Jackie or whatever. They know that that's not who they are. Right? Because really, this is what they're based on. They're not based on first name, but when they deal with us, they're dealing with us on first name basis. They're not dealing with us on family name basis. So they got this completely out of our consciousness that we don't even go here. Because if we went here, we would realize that, hold on a second, like I'm not really a Smith or a Johnson or a Jeffries or whatever. Especially the people who claim that they're scholars and they went to school and they know about their history and all that stuff, but they got some European name. And then they put on a dashiki and everybody's supposed to think, oh yeah, that guy knows himself because he has the dashiki. Oh, they're wearing ankhs or whatever like that. But oh, they call themselves X. Well, X that's Greek. Isn't that Greek stuff? Oh, but they're the, you know, kill crackers and all that type of stuff, but they're calling themselves European stuff. Why don't they kill themselves? Since they're European. But then they won't do that because, you know, you kill your own stuff that you've been following for the past however long under the guise of you know what you're talking about. When really and truly they don't know what they're talking about. So the name of these people that are classified as Negro, black, colored people is Moor. The free national name of them is Moorish American. But their name is Moor. Because, you know, according to so-called scholars or whatever, Moor comes from Christians. Europeans called us this. All right, so let's go with it. Let's go with the fact that Europeans called us this. So this, all right, so then that's what their name is. But this is not tied to Christian property. This is just tied to description. Because what they're going to tell you, Moor means black. And then if you speak to somebody that speaks Spanish, they'll tell you Moreno. But Moreno doesn't mean black. Negro means black. That's why when you talk to people who speak Spanish, they'll tell you that, don't call me this. Call me this. Because they know that this has no tie to being a slave brand. Matter of fact, people who speak Spanish, they'll even denounce this because of the corruption that they've been under. Because like we said, everybody's been put in slavery. The world has been enslaved by these people. Is, continues to be. Right? Questions or comments?
Two interesting things I just realized in the fact that we understand that slaves can't own property. And when you were just making that comment, how someone would say they'll purchase a property thinking that they own it, but the name on the title doesn't belong to them.
Right.
So for instance, use Johnson for example, the house will belong to Rayshawn Johnson, and they'll, under mental confusion, believe that's them. But in actuality, the Johnson family or corporation is the one that actually owns it. So-called title.
Right.
The next thing that was interesting too is how you were mentioning how they disconnected us from family, from free national and from family name. So you have a conscious brother. I'm going to use Umar Johnson as an example.
Right.
So what he did was he changed his first name.
Right.
That's what
But
they had
left
to attach him, but left
That's where I was
Johnson.
gonna go next. Yeah.
So when you were saying that, it
Right.
kind of piqued my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, interesting that. So he's running around acting like a conscious individual, attached to the first part.
Right.
Changed Umar, made an Asiatic name, Umar.
Yeah.
But left Johnson.
But left Johnson.
Which means he didn't do anything.
Which is also what they do, as far as the conscious people. That's their mentality, because
What if he signs his name, you know, like they do, put the family title first, comma, then the name after? What if that's how he's playing it too?
but then if he's
Umar,
doing that,
comma Johnson.
yeah. But then if he's doing that, Johnson still compromises him,
Oh.
because he's not Johnson either.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Whereas, like, both names in a different culture would be of that pedigree. Whereas he has one, and then thinking that it's safe because, well, Umar.
Yeah.
But that's only the first part, which isn't really how you're supposed to identify yourself. You're supposed to identify yourself by last name first. As far as the world's concerned, if they say, what's your name? You're supposed to say your family name.
He should have just said Umar
And just leave it at Umar. He'd be even better doing that.
Yeah.
Just saying Umar only.
Okay.
But then, he's doctor. So that means he went through the ritual, right? Got his little oath or whatever like that. Calls people black all the time, which further compromises himself and his people, because he's classifying them now as property, as being dead in law. But when he's doctor, he should know.
Confused.
You had something on, brother? Kenta?
What I wanted to just add on was that when you use the term branding, it's like when you brand a cattle or chattel,
Yeah.
calf. you put your initials on it to let everybody know that
It's
this
yours.
belongs to me.
Right.
So it's like the calf, when it has offsprings, can't claim its own children because I own it.
Right.
So I can do whatever I want to it. So it's the same thing with the whole name. It's, you know, yeah, it's our name, we think it's ours, but somewhere up the line, someone is collecting fiat on our quote unquote family name.
Right.
Because we are free, we think we're free, but really and truly we're not, because someone else is reaping off our energy.
Off our energy.
Sucking us, sucking
Right.
us, sucking us.
Brand and name go hand in hand, right? Because like companies have brands.
Right, exactly, right?
Corporation.
So brand, name, corporation, all these things are relative to the enslavement of humanity. But if humanity is blinded to the fact of, you know what I mean, just look it up in a dictionary, they'll tell you. Name means Christian. If you're not Christian, because, you know, we know that there's no such thing as that. You know what I mean? It's really Constantinism. Because he's really the founder of Christianity. There ain't nothing called Christianity that was founded by Asiatics. Unless you go to Ethiopia and you talk to the Orthodox or whatever. Right? But they don't call themselves Christian. You know what I mean? So,
What do they call themselves? God?
it's slipping me right now. But they don't say Christian.
Okay.
So you would help me understand, are we saying that all black people should be named Moor?
We're saying that all so-called black people are branded with names that are not theirs. So recognizing that the names that we have are not ours, it's our duty to find out what we should be calling ourselves. We can't know that there's an error and not want to correct the error. We can't go along with the error just because
So many years ago.
it's so many years ago, that doesn't matter or whatever like that.
The reason why I
Right?
asked that question is because my grandmother's father was a white man with the last name of Moore.
Yeah.
Right? Before that, we had a different native name.
Right.
As indigenous people of that island.
Right. Which island?
I don't want to get too much details of giving up myself. I just
Okay.
want to let the intellectual conversation
All right.
go. And with that, we became Moors by the marriage of a white man, right?
Mm.
So when I hear the word Moor, I don't see it liberating me anymore from my African misconception than my new name of Clark per se, right?
Right.
And what I'm trying to think of more or less is that if we were taken on a journey from Africa, whether you call it a Holocaust or a trip through time and space, I would say that we landed here with a new sort of rule or system that we had to turn a coin in once we were so-called free.
Right.
Right? And if we want to find out where we're coming from, I think it's very important to remember which owner bought us so that we could trace his so-called bill of lading.
Yeah.
To find out who he bought us from, to find out exactly which tribe or what lineage from Africa we genuinely come from, instead of just adhering to the same brush of Moor.
Right. Okay. So, for example, right? That's my family name, right? That means more. That is the European side of the Scottish branch of this name, right? But both of these were in Europe, right? Both of these are from Europe, but this side has nothing to do with Africa. This side is the dark-skinned people, and this side is the pale people, right? This got attached to this, or this being attached, or MAC being attached to any European name means that this was the master and that was the slave. This is in the context of this name, right? So in our island, this name has street signs that government put there that has nothing to do with some Europeans, because they recognize that this is tied to the Aboriginal indigenous people that came from over there to this island, not as slaves. So to say that we're not this, we're not more, equals more.
How do we know that equals more?
Just do your research on MC and MAC.
Okay.
And being the more, what does that give to me?
Hmm?
Like, I don't think, for me, in my personal journey, I would say, and a lot of the young people that I work with or I come across, they don't care about the name anymore. We're much beyond the cultural value, the cultural capital. There is no connection, you know? And I think that there is a lot more progressive thinking, per se, about than attaching ourselves to our names, right?
No, but see, like the issue is that if you are not
Grounded.
if you are not
Grounded?
classified, if you are not if you are given a identifier that is not you, no matter what you do, anything that you do goes to the power of the individual whose name it is.
I don't understand this totally, because if I am a free child,
You're not free.
Let me explain my understanding of freedom, where I am not in the traditional function or practice of my parents, where my mom and dad may practice a way of life of going to church, of respecting society. I may be a rebel, a gangster.
But if that rebel or gangster has a birth certificate, they're not free.
But I'm saying this much of this, right? Freeing the ability to find my own attempt at turning a coin on earth, you know? You need a birth certificate if you're gonna make money here. Like, I don't know how you rent this facility, but I'm sure you have to pay someone, right?
Yeah.
So you have to find a corporation entity to operate or assume an avatar to do your business.
More
right?
Science Temple of
So with that
America.
being said, I don't think it's fair to sort of defranchise the people, disenfranchise the people.
No, but they're actually disenfranchising by not being Moors.
No, but I don't think you understand. Being Moors does not give us the capacity to be men, right? We are men by our decisions and by knowing ourselves, right?
Well, okay.
And the name is not me. I am not my name. No matter what anyone tells me, I am not my name.
Let me
Is
put it
that the
like
point?
this.
Yeah, that's the point. That's it.
Right? But
Yeah, that's
whether it
it.
be more or whether it be
Remember, there's a general rule,
Constantine.
right? The general rule is that you, custom gives one his father's family name and such pronomia as his parents choose to put before it. But this is only general rule from which individual may depart if he choose. So if you don't choose, then the general rule is assumed. And the general rule is you're given your name from your father. And if your father's name is a Christian name and your skin is dark, then it is assumed that he came from a line of slaves.
But what if I don't respect my father, or I know my father is lost, and I as a free man push all of that out, I refute it. That's what you're dealing with in this day and age. You're dealing with a generation of vipers.
Yeah, I know, but that's personal. That's not
No, not
what.
personal.
That's not
It's
what.
That's not in the world.
That's not in the
It is
world.
in the world.
That's
That's
not the
why-
general rule.
This is why we have small numbers here, my brothers, right? Because the general public rather fend for themselves than to organize themselves behind something that doesn't make full sense to them, right? I understand what you're trying to do.
No, it's
right?
not. It's not what I'm trying to do or whatever.
movement,
Because
the universe.
no,
right?
because if you look at it like this, there's a brother who we know, right? That's Nigerian, right? He's from Nigeria, okay? Then he came here. He came here, did time, all types of stuff, being somebody that he's not. As a Nigerian, okay? He didn't come here on a slave ship or nothing like that. He's from over there and he came here, right? About maybe, say, 2 years ago, maybe about 2 years ago, he said, forget Nigerian or whatever, I'm going to start studying with the Moors. Because if Africa's a continent and people can't be continents, then I can't be African. If I claim myself as Canadian, I can't be that because I'm Nigerian, but in Canada, they're not going to recognize me as Nigerian. They're going to recognize me as Nigerian / hyphenated Canadian, because I have a passport, birth certificate, all these things from this jurisdiction, right? So he said, forget that. When he did his research in Nigeria, he found out that his ancestors in Nigeria, you got pictures and stuff like that of his great whoever, they got headwear like this in Nigeria, which means that they're Moors in Nigeria. So logically, if my ancestors were Moors in Nigeria and I'm still Nigerian here, then I'm Moor.
But how about the case of evolution? I mean, I love the cultural value, right? With all due respect, right? But in the journey of time as a collective human race, right? What does it mean to be a Moor?
It's karma, brother. It's karma. So all this
Karma,
stuff,
what does
all
karma
of this, all of the system that we say we're not a part of or that we want to go beyond, it's our ancestors, our heritage that put it into play. It's us who brought Columbus here. It's us who brought the Vikings here and traded with them. It's us who left from Mali and came here. It's us who did all of those things. It's us who built the White House. It's us who planned out Washington, D.C. It's our ancestors who did that.
It's our ancestors who put ourselves in slavery and brought us on ships here.
It seems like you guys are more responsible for this world than the white man is.
No, but it's not you guys, because you're included with it too.
I mean, your human resource, your energy is what drove this industry, you're saying to me. Which means at the end of the day, whether you're named after the truth or you're hidden and shrouded in a lie, it doesn't change the facts. Your energy built this calamity. So I think
but we're not in denial of that.
I think the real awakening per se we are waiting for as a people is how to get our minds back, not how to get a name back. I mean,
but that's where it starts.
Yeah, but
because you're not going to have.
truth. We don't want to do it with falsehood.
Knowing your name is more, right, doesn't help me personally in any way.
Yeah, but because you're not identifying as more, so how's it going to help you?
But I can identify
like
as
for myself, I identify as more, right? Ain't no Canada Revenue Agency coming giving me no letter with red writing talking about pay them $10,000 because I owe them something. Because as a Moor, I know I have no right to pay them taxes because I'm Aboriginal and Indigenous to the land. I'm here before them.
But what's the benefit of that?
What do you mean? What's the benefit of that?
How's your business going? Business? What do you do to turn a coin, my brother?
I work.
What do you do as a job?
I work as a hall monitor in the school board.
And do you use your Moor name to do that?
No, I don't use my Moor name to do that.
Your avatar name.
I use the name that. Remember, I put the name on the
You
board.
use the name that your mom gave you, the Matrix name.
That's not a Matrix name.
So what is that name?
I already told you that name comes from. That name comes from my people that ran Europe. I'm not running from because that appears to be a European name. I'm not going to use that because that appears to be a European name. I know that name goes back to Europe, but I know that so-called white people didn't found Europe. We founded Europe. Europe is named after a Moorish queen.
But then we find ourselves.
What? Say that again?
We found Europe, but then we found ourselves.
Only if you want to find yourself, because it's up to you whether you find yourself or not.
I'm calling myself a Moor. I'm gonna find myself, my brother.
Like I'm saying, anybody else that if we pull somebody off the street, what's your name?
I'm being honest, right? I don't. Sorry for speaking over.
No,
people,
this is
right.
This is what it's about.
On my last note today. Today I could be deciding to hang myself for all I know, right? I don't know how math is working in my mind, right? What I'm saying to you is, I really need help, right? And I genuinely don't think that if I just walk out of this door today saying that my name is Moor, that's going to change my health.
But you don't know until you do that.
But
you can't say that. You can't say that you don't know. But you can't say that you don't know if that's gonna work, because that's like this elder, right? He right now is in a property right now that he's not paying no rent right now. Because he's standing up to that beast out there, right? Mm-hmm. Saying that he's a Moor, not being a nigger.
That's beautiful.
And prior to that, he was being a nigger, paying rent every month. Right now he's in the property, doing whatever he has to do in the property. Police are even coming.
Yeah, that's
police are coming.
Two
right?
Sundays ago I was here, and I had to go there. They tried to change my lock. And when I get there, the police told him, you gotta put back the man's lock. And I'm gonna charge the guy for assaulting my son too, because he tried to push him out to change the lock, and I wasn't there.
And he's somebody who just came here maybe a month ago.
So if we all do what he's doing,
No, it's not. No, that's what he's doing.
What's gonna happen to the system if
That's what he's doing. What do you think's gonna happen to the system if we all do that?
We're gonna break.
What do you think's gonna happen to the system if we all do what he did?
It's gonna not be sustainable.
All right, isn't that what we want?
So we want to have sustainability at some
No,
kind
but
of
okay. So
Otherwise, it's
what do we
anarchy
want?
promoted.
So do we want? Do we
You're black and
want?
what people want to come to
So hold on.
Moors.
So hold on. So
You think everyone is rational?
So do we want to live under a slave system, or do we want to live under self-governance?
I like self-governance, the idea of self-governance.
So there it is
But
right
I
there.
don't think you figured it out totally.
But it's not going to be figured out totally, because everybody has their different mindset. They have their little piece that they think, oh yeah, well I think this is what it is, and this guy thinks that this is what it is, and then another guy over there, he says that he thinks that this is what it is. But the reality is that Noble Drew Ali brought you your self-governance that you haven't even considered this yet, and you're talking about let's do all this other stuff, but you haven't even considered this. And this has been around since 1913.
1913.
1913. Find me some Asiatics.
I think things
find
are
me,
farther than 1913.
find me some Asiatics. Now, keep in mind, Noble Drew Ali said that this flag has been flying in the Americas for over 50,000 years. Find me some Asiatic in America right now.
The time for that I'm going back is beyond that, so I understand the scope of what you're talking about.
No, but find me somebody that can show me a flag right now in the Americas that call themselves Negro, Black, Colored, Conscious, or whatever, that's older than 50,000 years. You can't find me one.
Could I
That's a
make a
great
suggestion?
You can't find me one.
I won't look for it either, my friend. I don't think that's my direction here.
Could I make a suggestion? One of the reasons I don't like liberal arts because it's too boxed in. One of the things we miss in all of this is that we forget, unless we know who we are as spiritual beings having a physical existence.
Exactly.
None of this makes sense.
Exactly.
But science tells us nothing is as it appears. It's all vibration, right? When you drive down the street and you see a red light, there's nobody telling you stop. But when you see a red light, it says something, okay? When you hear the word more, because we don't hear it often, we don't know, a lot of people don't even know what it means, okay? But it's like any word. If I go into a room and I tell somebody stop, they know what it means. But if I tell somebody more, and there's no connection to the word, if the person who you're talking to know what it means, they'll react to it in the proper manner. If they don't know what it means, then they'll just be like, duh. Which, obviously, listening to this, but he doesn't really know what the word means. So I was going to suggest, perhaps, that he gets a little bit more of an understanding. What you explained to me
No, I don't
a
think you
few
should do
weeks
that.
ago.
I know. I think I'm a little bit more loaded than I'm pretending to be. I know what it means. I'm really familiar with it. I was just challenging the perspective to see if we could go in a different direction with this.
Yeah, but you see the other
Forgive
thing.
me for that.
But the other thing too,
No,
you went over that the triangle thing with administrator, executive authority.
Right.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm not saying what you're talking about at all. I just stepped in.
Okay, maybe if we could like break it down in that simple
Well, Tesla
format.
would do it better than I would.
Yeah, because, well, let's go back to the main lesson, right? We're going from name to religion to title to vast estate. So,
The
when
word
we go back to what title is the key, right?
Yeah.
Because when you go back to what the brother was saying, he said that he is not his name, and so if you're not your name, then you don't have to feel that you are more. You have to feel that you identify as Moorish American. Just like you don't have to feel that you are this body, you just have to know that you're using the body in this existence.
I don't think that's fair. So I have an agenda to help my immediate family.
Yeah, but it's also you can also say it's not fair that I have to be 5'10" and brother gets to be 6'2". So I'm just gonna, say F life, and until I get to just transform my soul into that body, I'm just gonna you know, whatever, just sit here.
I didn't say that at all. You said that.
No, no, okay, fine, I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying that, think of it this way. If the destination of finding yourself is separate from the road signs. More is a road sign. It's not more. We're not saying that more is yourself.
Yes.
More is not the self.
It's a road sign.
It's a road sign. If you don't want to take that road sign, then you can go up the hill and
It's
through
a
the
hidden-
valley,
it's
and
a
we
hidden-
and you
tells
know
who we
and
are in
there's
self-discovery.
yeah, there's a path with a route that'll get you there nicely and efficiently. You don't have to take the path.
You could take the thorny,
You
the
can take
thorny
the thorny
way.
path. It's not. We're not.
If he's right, and let's say we take that notion as truth, right? And we look at it and say this is a point. It's a director, right? And it's not the destination per se of where we're supposed to be.
There's a lot of people who reach the destination already.
No,
I have
but I'm
family.
saying,
Everybody who's passed has
where
reached
the
the
destin-
destination. A lot of
where
people
is
who
the
passed
destination?
have reached the destination.
Where is that?
A lot of people who have already passed on have reached the destination.
Where's the destination? I'm asking that.
The destination is Allah.
Oh, you see that I didn't know that now. I don't want to go to that particular destination.
Yeah, but because you're just like
But I'm
more,
saying, like,
you're
what if I have a different spiritual belief, right?
Yeah, but-
or knowing, and that's
but
not
again-
named by Allah per se, right?
yeah, but again,
again,
it's
that's
like
Whatever the creator of all that is, the Almighty.
But
What
we
if that-
always ask, I'd like to
Yeah,
interject for
go
a
ahead,
second.
man.
We ask the question is, who is Allah?
Allah
What is Allah?
Allah is God in the Muslim world, is it not?
There we go now.
And Islam
Now we have
says
a
that
topic
Allah-
to speak on.
Right.
Speak on Allah for a
But you
second.
can't
Right.
speak on Allah if you're not going to speak about
You're not-
every other
okay.
deity that exists.
but if you
No, no.
conceptually
But
know that if you know
no,
that
no, 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 no.
No, I don't feel comfortable that way.
Oh no.
If
I
you
deal with
know-
that conversation.
No, that's fine.
if you know
The
Allah,
door is still open.
It'll hit me hard.
if you know Allah is Allah, and when we say Allah, we're not talking about some man-made or whatever like that. We're talking about divine law, universal law that everybody is subordinate to.
Everything, every
Every
atom,
everything
every molecule,
is subordinate to
everything.
universal law, divine law. You have
But
no
law is
choice.
subjective, no?
No,
It's
no.
Again,
there are 7 laws
we're
that
talking
govern the
about-
universe.
What
We're
are the
not.
7
We're
laws?
talking about
Gravity for one.
Gravity,
all
whatever.
universal
Gravity
law.
is subjective and it's not permanent. Gravity is places where gravity don't exist.
No, gravity is not. Gravity is a subordinate law to a higher law,
Look, I'm
right?
saying to you guys, you have to accept the facts about it. The same way laws of man change, the laws of dimensions change depending on
We're not
what
talking
dimension
about
you're in.
we're not
So
talking
what Allah you speak of, when you say Allah, I
Well,
mean,
We
this is
gotta get
relative
to the
to your
subject matter first,
understanding.
right?
right
But
now
they
now
bring the name
again.
of a God, a deity.
Now again,
I don't know how they're religious.
you say that this is a deity. I'm not Muslim.
Oh, you're not.
I said
No,
it's a destination.
not because I say Allah means that I'm Muslim. Not because that I say Buddha means that I'm Buddhist.
That's the
Not because that I say Jesus that means that I'm Christian.
That's wonderful.
That's what we're talking about.
Right?
When we talk about
We're talking about
Wonderful for that to be-
we're talking about holistic.
Yeah.
Holistic.
Well, no.
We're talking about going back to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers so that we can change the conditions of the world. Because the whole world is waiting for Negro, black, colored, African niggers to start being who their ancient foremothers and forefathers are, which is more. Because if again, I know somebody from Nigeria that's a Moor that goes to court and beats tickets right out here. People get tickets and they just go pay. He's from Nigeria, where half these people that say that they're Negro, black, colored, or whatever come from. They say that that's where they come from. He's from there. And he's saying, you know what? Pfft, Nigerian, I'm Moor. And then he's going out there beating tickets. And then these people who call themselves Negro, black, colored, that say they came over on a slave ship from West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and all that stuff, they're not going to listen to the guy who's from there? These people are goddamn idiots.
But if he had money, would he worry about his ticket?
Of course, because why would you give your hard-earned whatever it is to these freaking colonists who are just putting yellow stuff on your window
No, you can't
because
say
they
that.
feel
You
like
can't
it?
say you're angry because what I'm trying to say is when you come to a place of social accordance, when we have to live together collectively, we're not in the same.
What's a
family.
place of social
I'm
accordance?
sorry to
What's
disappoint
this?
you.
What's
You
this
know, I can
place?
excuse myself. I don't need to be here.
What's this?
I don't want to offend the brother here. He's shaking his head at me more than once. I don't want to offend you, my brother.
Because you're not listening.
But I am,
You're not
but it
giving the brother
doesn't
enough
make
time to
sense.
explain it. Because
No.
My brother.
as soon as you ask a
I'll
question,
speak
you
to
ask
you
another
after the
question,
meeting.
you ask another
I'm gonna
question.
get myself a drink. I'll be back.
Again, right? We know as Moors,
Guys are running.
as Moors, right? As Moors, we know that our people are hard-headed, stiff-necked people, and they only learn at the point of a sword,
Well, that's why I asked the question in regards to Allah. In
right?
what is Allah? Who is Allah?
In here, where's the water?
What defines Allah? Because in terms of what we've been told over the years what Allah is, it's completely different.
And that leads us right into religion.
Yeah.
That what he's talking about
Yeah.
is dogma.
Yeah. What is religion?
And so far,
What he's talking about is dogma. We don't deal with dogma. We deal with universal laws. We deal with astrology, cosmology. We deal with esoteric sciences. We deal with metaphysics. We don't deal with this mundane, salat and clasp your hands, pray, and holy books and all that stuff. We're not mere believers.
It's not your point.
We're not believers.
But the thing is, though, a lot of people.
And you know what's worse? Let me tell you what's worse. What's worse is that brother right there knows who I am.
Huh?
That brother knows me.
Another one?
That brother knows my sister. Him and my sister go back or whatever.
Oh, well, okay.
When I was a Negro black colored guy doing programs, that guy used to be in programs when I was doing Negro black color stuff. This is why I get upset with people. Because I used to be nigger. And I'm now coming with a different concept, and these people who still want to be nigger are trying to fight me in this concept that I know now
Honestly,
is
brother,
a reality.
I think that's unfair. I think you should at least wait for him to come back.
Yo, it don't have to wait because he knows me, bro.
Yeah, but you should even tell him that, remind him of that.
There's nothing to remind him. I just seen him like some months ago,
Right, but
and he knew I was more. As soon as he walked in the door, he knew what was up.
I understand, but I'm saying like,
Right?
it's fair.
It's not about fair. You know what? You know why it's not about fair? Let me tell you
If
why.
it's a battlefield,
Let me tell you why it's not about fair. Let me tell you why it's not
Remember you
about
and
fair,
I, when we
right?
went
The
back
reason
and
why
forth,
it's not about fair
same thing.
is because this
Gotta
right here,
understand-
this is our jurisdiction,
Right,
right? This is our jurisdiction.
right.
When you come inside that door right there, you're subject to what we deal with in here. If you don't like it, there's the door. Just like he said,
Thank you very
I ain't
much.
want to deal with this. This guy's shaking his head at me. Ain't nobody shaking no head at nobody. He's being emotional.
I'm making comments too, but
He's being
that's the
emotional.
whole issue is that
This has nothing to do with
I think-
nothing
I think-
personal.
I think it's just as passionate as well. Like I don't know if you feel like personally like you've been infringed on or like.
Hey, yo,
disrespected your-
let me tell you something.
jurisdiction.
bring it.
It ain't nothing about
That's
disrespect.
what I'm saying. I know.
It ain't nothing about
I'm
disrespect.
trying to find information.
Right?
But
I
It
have,
ain't nothing
I have
about
to put it in, I have to put it in humor here. When I was listening to the brother, I have to look around to check to see if he was my son because I was son who behaves and talks just like him, right? I was going to say, what are you doing here?
But to me, the thing is like, if you want to ask a question, you generally want to hear the question. You gotta at least wait for the
At least get the answer,
The reason why I'm
right?
shaking my head is like, 'cause I have one.
Right?
Yeah, you gotta at least
You
wait
have
for
to
the
at
answer.
least want the
After every
answer.
question is another
You can't
question,
ask a
another
question
then another
and
question.
then
But it was going somewhere though.
just
Because even when you're talking about law, you're talking about Allah, and you broke it down to all, and then law, you're talking about
Yeah, but
this.
he-
and
that's
he-
fiction.
Remember, but check
That's
it, check it,
fiction.
check it, check
That's
it, check
fiction.
it,
I know
check
that's
it.
your boy or whatever.
But check it.
Right? I know that's your boy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not he never did nothing wrong to my sister. He never did nothing wrong to me. You know what I mean? Like I don't have no beef. No, I'm just saying. It's not no beef issue. Right?
What
But
beef?
no, I'm just saying. Because people are gonna because there's online people, they got 22 people online or whatever like that, they might think, oh, they got
Oh, this is an
something.
online conversation right now?
Always.
Oh.
Always.
But check it.
Right?
But check it, for the sake of proper conversation, we're supposed to be in here intellectual people,
Absolutely.
and when I said the destination is Allah,
Mhm.
the brother assumed
Yeah.
my definition, right?
Assumption.
I own my definition, just like
Right.
you control your name. I own my definition. My definition is Allah. My definition is the
the circle 7, the 7 governing laws of the universe which no human being can go beyond. He will not go beyond it. You, me, none of us in this form.
Right.
So if he's saying he has problems, he's talking, obviously, is he talking about problems in the spirit, or is he talking about problems in life? I'm guessing he's talking about problems in life, because we're all in life right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So how can you say, how can someone say to me, that's not my destination? If you haven't been there, you haven't been there.
But
You
that's
haven't
the
been
whole
there.
point.
And he's saying, and then Cujo took it upon himself to break down Allah. He didn't say, can you explain Allah to me?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. You know, that's why I
So
asked in regards to Allah. Right?
Make it fruitful at least, right? Like, yeah, okay, there's things that need definition, then ask for the definition, right?
Mhm.
There's things that aren't clear, ask for clarity, you know what I
Absolutely,
mean?
and that's what we're here to do, right? That's why.
Because
I
to
asked
me,
the
I
question
know,
of Allah.
I know what those 7 laws are, and I know that there's all the laws that we know of gravity and
Yeah, like okay,
you
let's start
know,
with
you
let's start
cannot,
with gravity,
those
for
fall
instance.
under those 7 laws. It's
You
Kabbalah,
cannot
that's-
change gravity.
And gravity's
Like,
not
come on,
subjective.
guys. You
You
can.
can't
It's
say
it's
gravity's
not-
and
subjective.
yeah, you
That's
can't
a good point.
use those words, it's subjective, and then
He said it
try to
depends on
confuse
what
people.
dimension that you're in, and that's very
No,
we're
okay,
talking
but,
about the earth
okay, but
right
which
now.
dimension are we in right now?
Where we at right now?
Alright.
Where we at? Where we at right
Okay,
now?
Where we
Where we
Come
at?
back. Like,
Where we at right now?
And another thing that's
Like,
frustrating.
That's a deep conversation.
Yeah,
Esoteric,
because-
but it's still governed by the fact that to go beyond this dimension, you have to go through the 7.
Yeah, you have to
You have to go through Allah.
But another thing,
Brother
That's what this-
Kenta,
that's what
let's
this is
get
about.
Brother Kenta in there.
I think what a lot of like new people fail to
Man,
realize when they come
Moving chairs and stuff, right?
when they come into
Yeah,
the
that's
mix
so funny.
is that you know everything you know. When you walk through, as you say, this is our jurisdiction. When you walk through this door, suspend everything you know.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's it.
Everything you've
Everything.
been told.
You're not-
is
Throw it.
true.
You got the garbage right here.
Yeah.
And then you got the chicken. No, put it in here.
And one of the things the prophet said was study, study, study.
That's back here, man.
Truth and fiction,
Piece
a
of
strange
wood. Back here.
You feel the atoms bouncing off each other.
but 2 things I look at it. I'm like,
For real.
one, if you got that much questions, you see, if you have that many questions,
Should at least
I get
humble
it.
yourself
You
to
know what?
them.
If you humble yourself, one,
Yeah.
because to me, especially with the people online, there's a lot of people that are tuning in that want to learn.
Yeah.
And if you're asking 1,000 questions, the lesson's never gonna get done. If you have those questions, all right, we can be like, okay, cool, we have those questions. Ask it after class.
Yeah.
Once the class is done, the
Yeah.
people that are online got their food.
Yeah.
That they're gonna take back and study, and then you can ask the questions in person because you have 1,000 questions.
Look at it this way: if you're speaking to a professor, you ask the professor for one question. You're gonna wait till the professor finishes that answer. You're not gonna say, "Okay, well, professor, what's 2 + 2?" But okay, but if 4 + 4 is 4. But then, I mean, come on now, like you
And-
gotta have some level of respect to the presenter. If
But
you-
again, that's why I brought up the fact
Yeah.
that I know that guy.
Yeah, it's like. Come
So
on,
it's
man.
a agenda
Yeah.
to be here asking all these questions because I ain't nothing new telling him about moral science or whatever. These guys always deny moral science.
And just like you said though, Kojo, it's crazy how people will fight the term more, but they'll never fight
Fight
being
black.
black.
Never fight black.
Never.
They'll
They'll
never
never-
fight African.
They'll never kick down a cop's door and say, yo, nah, I'm not black.
I'm not black.
But they'll come in here challenging more. I mean, no sense in
The
it,
same,
man.
it's in the dictionary.
Right.
The same book is telling them, it's in the
I
dictionary.
apologize.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
For the most part, what I gathered from like this whole experience is that, you know, it's like a video game.
Mm.
If you don't know the rules,
Oh, shit.
which is what the prophet brought to us, this is the rule for you to enjoy this physical experience.
dimension.
not just- Yeah, this is it. The laws are what it is. They're principles. You cannot change them, can't move them. That's what it is. But for us to ask the same questions, kind of like that one robot just keeps on walking
Yeah.
into the wall, walking into the wall. Don't know you gotta keep on walking into the wall. You won't get
the one
through.
who's the joystick.
Right, like for real, like, and this is what it is. But you have some people who just want to stick in their lane. Not saying that their lane is wrong, but in order for you to elevate yourself, you have to follow the laws, and the laws state this: like, if you don't know law, if you don't understand that, if you're not in impropriate persona, and you're considered somebody else's property.
And we good.
Right.
We're there.
Get
So,
there.
we-
it's
we-
like-
Get there.
You know it, you don't even start in yet.
Right.
We didn't even start yet.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't
You
start
gotta
yet.
study, man.
He got the little bleep the little drop of more science.
But I said that
and that just shattered his whole paradigm of existence.
Yeah.
And now, okay, so what do? Well, now you chill because your paradigm just got shattered with a little drop from the little thing with the rubber thing on top. You a little drop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't give you no 7 drops of oregano oil, have you coughing or whatever. We gave you 1 drop of oregano oil, and you're coughing up a storm.
Like for instance, like I bet you he doesn't even understand the visit of the Pope that just happened recently.
That's
like
Right? Like that's
he understood
that's
that.
like
when
that's up there.
Yeah, like
That's
he
up
doesn't
there.
even understand that his whole paradigm that he's trying to keep together, and well, I can walk and I'm free, and
then
shattered.
this is the that's the condition of all of our people who do not want to accept that, one, we're living in an era of time now that is not Pisces anymore, where you can believe any crap that you want to believe. It's Aquarian age right now.
Right.
Exactly.
In the Aquarian age, it's all about knowing. If you don't know, paradigm's getting shattered. Like that, you're out to lunch.
And that's
Right?
one of the things he's saying. He's going through some stuff. There's a reason you're going through some stuff. You're in dishonor of your ancestors.
Of your ancient foremothers and
Period.
forefathers, which is you know what I mean. Again,
Comes back to
religion,
Yeah.
right? What's our religion? Islamism.
Is it religion or superstition? Which is it?
I mean, what for? What you got or what we?
No, I mean, we say religion, but I'm saying, is it religion / superstition?
Okay,
No,
Which
it's
is it?
religion. It's
What is
realignment.
religion? And I see this is why I always ask the question: who, what, where, why, and when. What is religion?
Religion means to realign.
Right?
That
Get
is
back.
religion.
Like again, if you're tired of
Align.
right,
Religion.
Yeah.
Read it that way.
Realign.
Read it that way.
back to
Right?
the ancient.
Realign.
That is why we have the dictionaries. What are these words? These words have powerful meanings.
And then keep in mind that if we jump school of thoughts, right, and we go to Kemetic, right, RE is now RA,
Right.
which Ra is universal symbol in the sky, gives us light, gives us whatever, and Ra align.
We get the word storm and rain.
Okay.
Amen Ra.
Amen Ra.
For Amen in Christianity.
It's
Amen.
That they're gonna say, "That's my religion is Christian." Amen. Yeah, but that's that's chematology. That's stuff from ancient Kemet.
Yeah.
How come you not calling that your don't so the guys who have the Sphinx head as a human and lion body and a hawk head guy and a snake head guy and a hippopotamus lady that everybody's whatever like that, that's paganism, but Amen Ra is not pagan. When Ra is dealing with the same stuff from ancient Kemet, which is our ancient foremothers and forefathers stuff. This is how lost that the people are.
The prophet said only a handful will be saved.
Only a handful will be saved.
And they have fingers left over to count.
Only one of you in here is going anywhere.
Look, my mother. I talk about that with my mother.
I'm studying, so I'm in that handful.
I'm with you with that handful, bro.
I asked my mom the same thing. At her place of worship, I asked her, "Mama, tell me how many people in there." Okay, put it this way, Mama, 20. Many are called, few are chosen. How many is few, Mama?
And out of the few,
It's
the
not
chosen
10.
one choose himself.
And it's not 5 because that was a quarter. So you gotta be somewhere from 1 to 5. It's not 5, it's quarter. So you gotta be 1 to 4. You see how many are you inside here? There's only 4 of you.
Yeah.
And that's the next thing. If they ever read the book of Revelations, it says 144,000 people going up in the rapture.
Yeah.
144,000 people. That's not a lot of people, man.
No.
You really break it
No.
down. It brings it back to 9, right?
Good segue. Since we're dealing
Exactly.
with religion. Before we get to
My whole
title.
point I was trying to raise is that people, we have to realize that words are vibration.
Yep.
And when you speak words, they have an impact on you whether you listen and
Yep.
understand them or not.
Yep.
It doesn't matter whether you understand them.
It's irrelevant what
It's
you
irrelevant.
believe.
It's what it does to you.
That's what it is.
That's the
So
first-
that's why
I
when you
used to
said
look-
more,
I used to
that's
look-
what when you said, you know what I mean? People don't understand more or whatever, cause you know whatever like that. So you said more of all the words that we used or whatever today.
Yeah.
The one word
Yeah.
that got him going was
The word more.
the word more.
Like the word
What type of
stop.
vibration is that word? If that one word
Wow.
is gonna make man leave the room,
Smashing back and
Listen,
forth.
I'm an electronic
In the beginning
specialist,
was
right?
the
Turn
word.
chairs around to change the chairs.
Listen,
We're not laughing. It's just, as I said, I had the same situation on Friday. Someone basically complaining about Cujo. It's like, what do you want me to do? You know, you have your great grandfather wearing a fez. So what?
when you fighting,
What do you? Yeah, like what?
go ahead, Elder.
Go ahead.
no, I said being in my line of business, it's a little easier because it's all science based,
Science.
and people don't realize that colors of light is different degrees of heat. Some generates heat. It's all part of physics.
It's all part of life.
It's all part of life.
It's inescapable.
So people, so
They
I
wanna
ask people,
escape-
why
they
do you
wanna
stop when
escape
there's a red
things.
light?
Yeah,
You know,
simple
why do you
stuff.
stop?
Yeah.
You shouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I don't stop for red lights. I
Right.
go, if there's no reason for me to stop, I
No,
go.
that when you brought that up, I was gonna bring that up. That if that night, you know what I mean, 2 o'clock coming home from wherever,
I ain't stopping.
you know what I mean, and a red light, sitting there waiting, 10, 9, 8, and then the hand changes back to the walking guy and stuff like that.
I just did that. I don't wait. I
Who's
don't do
sitting
my
there
thing.
waiting
I
for that,
mean,
yo?
Everything's
Waiting for
done.
that.
So what you mean? Everything done?
We just want to plug our good brother, brother Denham L. Just put out his new book. Jesus was a Muslim. For all the Allah haters out there. We're just gonna read a little excerpt from this.
Oh, man.
Holy Quran, Circle 7, chapter 48, verse 7. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. Jesus was not a Christian, and the term Christian was first used in Antioch and was considered very derogatory at the time. Those labeled Christians were literally underground into the catacombs and held secret meetings. Jesus was hated in Rome, so those who had encountered the teachings of Jesus began to follow his revolutionary divine ministry that lasted for 3 years. The teachings of Jesus are not in relation to what we call Christianity. Actually, the teachings of Jesus are totally opposite to Christianity. Rome was the author of the political, militaristic manifest known as Christianity. And I quote, "The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law." Holy Quran, Circle 7, chapter 46, verse 1. Jesus could not be a Christian. The term came into existence a couple hundred years later. I want to also remove the false history that Jesus is a Jew. This cannot be, for Jesus condemned those very people in the Bible. And I quote, Revelations chapter 2, verse 9. "I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know the slander of those who say are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan." The term Jew came from Judah, which were a tribe of priests. The term Jew is made up just like the quote-unquote state of Israel. Jesus had the blood of the Canaanites and Moabites through Ruth, the Moabitess, and Boaz, who was a Canaanite, falsely called an Israelite, who was the son of Rahab and Salmon. The Holy Quran, Circle 7 states, and I quote, Jesus himself was the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa. Jesus denied his divinity and at times was confronting his humanity to those who were mistaking him for a supernatural being and at the same time leading them to the source of his messiahship. And I quote, "By myself I can do nothing," John 5:30. Or, "I drive out demons by the finger of God," Luke 11, verse 20. Or, "Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me," John 11:41. Jesus was a prophet, a servant, a messenger, and an angel, but not the supreme being. Jesus did not even want to be addressed as God. So I know he rejected the title of the Almighty God, a title intentionally placed upon Jesus by the originators of the pagan idea known as Christianity. Something else here.
There's an addendum to 2:9, there's 3:9 that extends on that.
Say that again?
There's an addendum to 2:9, Revelation 2 verse 9.
Yeah, there was more,
And
but he
it's
just put, yeah, he just
3:9,
put,
which is an extension to the same
yeah,
2:9.
yeah. You're asking? Or you're
No,
saying?
I was just making that.
Yeah,
comment,
right,
that there's an
right.
addendum to
Yeah, he just did an excerpt. We also deal with Jesus from an esoteric perspective. Also, as everything has outer representation, there is also an inner representation of these types of workings, which should also be examined and applied to the individual self, so the power of heaven and earth can be at your disposal. The science of Jesus being a carpenter is dealing directly with man and the building up of the true dwelling living quarters known as the self, temple, house, cave, or closet, where no one can eavesdrop in these places, for they are truly internal, and those are just other ways to say soul/spirit. We get to the spirit through the soul. It is all in the word/logos, which is simply breath. Jesus is the Son of Man, but in man there is a sun seat, and we know this as the solar plexus, which are surrounded by the 12 gastric nerves, symbolic to the 12 tribes, the 12 zodiac, and the 12 disciples. The science of Jesus is justice, and justice being a reward or penalty, and each one is held accountable for their own ways and actions. So to manifest of justice is put on the said being, and Jesus states, and I quote, "The sin lies in the wish, in the desire, not in the act." Moorish Holy Quran, Circle 7, Chapter 9, verse 16. The ability to wish is a human trait. The ability to desire is a human action and trait. And it is these that can render you to have few problems. The reward or penalty comes from the very person themselves. Whatever God reaches you is from Allah. But whatever evil befalls you is from yourself. Holy Quran, Surah 4, verse 79. So make sure you go get the book. Jesus Was a Muslim. Just Google it. It'll come up on Create Space by Professor Denham L.
Your question.
Yeah.
So I noticed the spelling with Muslim and Muslim. What's the difference?
You got anybody got the dictionary there? Oh yeah, you got the dictionary right there. So we'll look up both of them. Muslim. Muslim. In general use, Muslim is esoteric. Muslim is exoteric. Muslim is within, Muslim is without. Muslim is internal, Muslim is external,
Makes sense.
right?
Yeah, but to me, they're all the same.
Yeah, ultimately,
And why I said that, I'll give you specifics as to why I said that. Except for, yeah, they're all the same. They're all, the four defining letters in that word is MSLM. And they both carry MSLM. The O's are all vowels, which are all silent. All it does is changes the sound of the word.
right,
But in essence, those all words are technically silent.
right? It's like Kemet. Then you have some people say Kemet. But
Right.
really, right?
Yeah.
Kamat. But really,
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So what should really distinguish the word is how you define the word as opposed to how it sounds.
right?
Like
And that's why we did the.
You
look it
know
up.
why I see it that way? My original language is not English.
Yeah.
So I have to constantly restructure the way I say things. I always say things backward.
Yeah.
Because each time I use a word, I have to find a way of describing what I'm saying, as opposed to just relying on the sum of the word to get the message across. You got that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfectly. You had something, brother?
To add on, I don't know if this kind of makes sense, but for me, the way I came to understood it was Muslim is more of one with Allah, the Creator, and then you have Muslim is submission to the will. So one is you're one with, and one is you're separated. The latter being a Muslim. That you're separated from the Creator, so you're at the disposal of something outside of you, as
Right.
opposed to going internal, as you said, exoteric
Right.
and esoteric.
I don't know if you see it the same way, but I think the so-called Christian Bible gives a pretty good a definition of what like Jesus, like he says, when you see me, you see the Father.
Right.
I'm the Father, and the Father is in me.
Right.
And then the Christian goes and gets baptized and invites Jesus to come in him, right?
Yeah.
So it's a cryptic thing where he said, basically said, hey, we're all G-O-D.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
You know, that's what he's saying.
But then if you become,
G-O-D.
if you are one, now you got responsibilities now.
Exactly, and a lot of people
A
don't
lot of people don't want to deal with the responsibilities that they gotta deal with.
Because it's like, think of it like one is a verb transitive and one's a noun, you know?
No, my mind's just going.
Oh,
on
you're
the
just-
meaning.
okay.
Action as opposed to
As opposed to just,
who it is, what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it there. You're clear. You're clear now.
Because
Yeah, I'm clear. I'm
All right,
clear.
okay.
even the word time doesn't really make sense because there's no such thing as real time. I mean, time is
It's infinite.
time is there's no time. In our structure, you know, we have to work, we have to do this, we have to do that. There's a measure, and that's how you measure things. But there's really no time. That's a man creation.
And even when I found it in the dictionary, it says
Where
it
is
says
here?
Muslim.
You know, where is here?
So
It's
does it
also-
even?
It's a rule of measurement. It's
But,
a part of the equation.
Yeah.
But like
Goes
people
back
just
to
look at
another-
itself as time being
like-
something.
No, it
Like,
doesn't.
but if you wanted to measure speed, you need time
Yeah.
plus distance
Plus distance.
in order to give you speed.
In
But
a
a lot of
true-
people are just stuck on the time, not realizing that's just
Yeah.
a variable in order to determine something.
In a two-dimensional world.
Right.
In a
Key point in a
Three-dimensional
three-dimensional
world.
reality.
What if you have
Yeah.
4 or 5 or 6? What do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna say something?
Oh yeah, something my dad was touching on, and even what you guys were touching on a few weeks back, with the numbers and the letters and how they all have like symbolism behind it, and, like people put different meanings on these things. But yeah, and even with your last name, when you're talking about how the MC means more, you know, and I'm just thinking about it, I'm like, even McDonald's, the M, like it's like more, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So as I'm looking and I'm seeing like this Muslim or Muslim, it still starts with an M. You know what I'm saying? So there's a significance to that letter and why the letter comes before the other letters. You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So I'm just kind of thinking
And then,
on that.
and like what you're saying too, in there, it tells you, see Muslim.
Yeah.
When
and
you
then
look
it
at
says see
Muslim,
Muslim when I
right?
look at Muslim.
When
yeah.
you look at
So-
Muslim, which also lets you know that that dictionary is abridged, not unabridged, because it should give you a definition of Muslim
Right, but it
and then
doesn't.
tell you say see Muslim. But if it's telling you to go directly to Muslim and not tell you what Muslim is,
Yeah, they
then
are
it's
different.
trying to make the both
One
terms
the same.
same when they're not
Or-
really relative. like
But in
that.
a sense, they are. Like,
Yeah, they are relative. But if we're looking at to find
Esoteric
a different to find a higher meaning of what it is, they're not the same like that.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Right? To us, they're the same because we're of a certain mind frame, so we can distinguish.
Mm.
I was just gonna say, sometimes what happens is that it will point to another, like, when you go to the other definition, it will actually explain it.
Explain it there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
One of the reasons I have problems with words is because if you want to do something right, you always got to make a drawing of it. You have to draw it as
Yeah.
opposed to put in words.
Right.
And each symbol represents a
Right.
particular force or particular function, as opposed to words. Words don't work very well in the construction of anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, even to touch on, I remember you had said some stuff last week, even with the table, what's it called?
Periodic table?
Yeah, periodic table. It's all defined with
Periodic
letters and
table.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking about actual different substances that exist in the universe, and it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it's code. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
phonetics. You know, phonetics. The
Well,
Phoenicians.
everything is kind of cold when you break it down. Even
Yeah.
hip hop, we started doing the same thing. Like we get rid of certain letters, so it's all like a science. And then
Vibrations.
dope
Name,
stuff.
religion.
Cool.
Title to your vast estate. Title.
Okay, so title. The radical meaning of this word appears to be that of a mark, style, or designation. A distinctive appellation, the name by which anything is known. Thus, in law of persons, a title is an appellation of dignity or distinction, a name denoting the social rank of the person bearing it, as duke or count. So in legislation, the title of a statute is the heading or preliminary part, furnishing the name by which the act is individually known. It is usually prefixed to the statute in the form of a brief summary of its contents, as an act for the prevention of gaming. Again, the title of a patent is a short description of the invention, which is copied in the letters patent from the inventor's petition. The title of a book. Title is also used as the name of one of the subdivisions employed in many literary works. And then it goes into law of trademarks. Real property law. Title in real property law. Title is the means whereby the owner of lands has the just possession of his property. With case law. The union of all the elements which constitute ownership. Title may be defined generally to be the evidence of right which a person has to the possession of property. The word title certainly does not merely signify the right which a person has to the possession of property, because there are many instances in which a person may have the right to the possession of property and at the same time have no title to the same. In its ordinary legal acceptation, however, it is generally seems to imply a right of possession also. Title is when a man hath lawful cause of entry into lands whereof another is seized, and it signifies also the means whereby a man comes to lands or tenements, as by fiefment, last will and testament. The word title includes a right, but is the more general word. Every right is a title, though every title is not a right for which an action lies.
Every right is a title, but every title is not a right. So
Every right is a title?
Every right is a title, though every title is not a right for which an action lies.
So, our name,
Is it, I just give a clarification here. If they're saying every right is a title, just run that again.
Yeah, every right is a title, right? Every right is a title, though every title is not a right for which an action lies.
Okay, well, why did they just say every right has a title, as opposed to say every right is a title, but every title does not have a right?
Yeah. Every right is a title.
so
like, if there's a right that is statutory, and it's has a title in the provisions of law.
Right.
If there's a right that is a birthright, then it comes with your title. Your title.
Okay. Your right is your title, or your title is your right, which is, it's a bit confused. I'm just trying to get.
Yeah, it is the same, one and the same, because there is a right associated. But if somebody makes up a title,
Doesn't give them a
and
right.
nobody else acknowledges it, and it's not real, then it doesn't give them a right.
so like Paul McCartney being Sir, because that title was put on him by somebody who supposedly has superior sovereign power of
To put
whatever,
the title on him.
to put a title on him, but that doesn't make him no Sir. He ain't nobody.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the power of a Sir.
It has to be
Just-
assertive.
Right, just like somebody who has an honorary doctorate
Yeah.
from some university, they're not really,
It's like Shaq.
yeah, they're not really, they can't really go out and say, yeah, I have it was just something that was given to them to use, because it has that power, but the individual with it can't really wield it in its full capacity.
In other words, the title should come as a verb after the verb, after the action. The action should be a reflect. The title should come after the action.
Right.
As opposed to the title, then the action.
Title creating
the title doesn't create the action. The action creates the title.
Creates the title.
Right.
Right.
And
So the action of proclaiming your free national name creates the title L B D Al or Ali, because these are not just mere Moorish names, but they're actually titles of dignity, distinction, possession, right of possession, so we could put nobility.
You have to forgive me if I ask you to go over it a few times, because it's not something that
It's not normal. Yeah, it's not regular. It's not accustomed.
It's not something that I really try that I wrap my, because to me titles don't really mean nothing.
Right.
Like I give a title. In other words, I recognize one by one's action,
Right.
as opposed to saying, "Oh, I'm a doctor." Okay,
Right.
prove it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Be a doctor.
Right, for sure. Right.
If you're a doctor, you're a doctor.
Right.
You know,
right.
you earn that
Your
title.
actions would show that you're qualified
you earn that
to have the title.
Yeah,
Right.
as a matter of fact, you don't even have to give people the title.
Right.
Say, doc.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever.
Right,
Before
right.
you do that.
Yeah.
So it should be earned.
That's really what it is.
An earned title.
It's really about the action.
And
really about are you?
Who you
It's
say
not
you are.
right. Are you? Right.
And you know this, man, because remember back in the day, man used to get called like Goldsmith or whatever. It's the same thing. Like if you're running, they'll be like, okay, you're not. Your last name could be Jacob Runner or like John Runner.
Blacksmith.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's because you run all the time. But it doesn't necessarily mean, like, say your kids have to have the same last name. They don't have to run too. It's just your last name is Runner, so you might inherit some sort of like track and field stadium. Who knows? I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that's just another example of. But you know this, man.
Right.
Because it's like there's rights to life. You know what I mean? Human rights, and human rights are associated with things that, unfortunately, are made into commodities. So you can claim it by saying I'm a human, or you can claim it by saying just give it to me because my ancestors left it for me. And it's up to you. Again, choices. You want to use something that's gonna work, or you want to use something that, you know, your heart is telling. You know, I don't know what. The point is that the title denotes possession, right? The title denotes possession. So it's not. Yeah, you still have to earn it, but that's the paradigm. That's, you know, what gets people out of their seat and nervous and stuff, and
But I was
people
also
leave the
looking
room.
at
You see what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah, I was
remember I
also-
said earlier, he
Yeah.
even agreed. He said, you know, responsibility. Oh, you guys are responsible. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at the two levels, because that's the thing I have with English words. Like, you use the word title, and to me it's got a double meaning, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a title to ownership, and then there's the title to action,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And for us, for me, what it seems like when we declare ourselves to be Moors, this is a title that, this is where the study comes in, because you can only be what you know. So with our friend back here, if he doesn't know what it entails to be a Moor, he can't, you know, manifest that.
Yeah.
You know, so there's difficulty there. But if he studies hard, suspends everything he knows, and start comparing notes, because truth and fiction is strangely mixed. And at the end of the day, you have to know the rules of the game. If not, you're just fodder in the field.
Right.
You know, so title, it's
Right.
pedigree, yeah.
One more thing. It's funny you touched on the Rothschilds earlier, and I was watching this film last week where they're talking about how the Rothschilds actually means red flag. You know what I mean? I don't know what language it is, but that's crazy. So it's all subliminal, you know. And these guys obtained a lot of power with that name change, because their original name was the Rothschilds. So that's crazy.
Red shield.
Red Shield.
It's Red Shield.
Yeah, Red Shield. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. It's something along those lines.
Canton.
Who did that?
Canton.
But then you have to do the etymology on the Rothschild, the Red Shield, and you do that in terms of the timing of when they came into power.
Mhm.
And around that time, who was in power at that time? Was Moors in power at that time?
Mhm.
So when you look at it, it's more or less they took over from the Moors, Moorish family.
Right, that's
When
right.
you, when you do your, like, when you really, really go
Yeah.
deep into it.
Yeah, because it's all the what do you call it, Scottish rights.
Exactly.
Right.
The
Right.
Freemasons and shit, yeah.
So, it's for instance, when you look at the word England, England never existed until the 1800s.
Mm.
England. But then when people say, well, you know, Washington and those guys were like trying to get away from England in the 1700s.
Yeah.
Then- no, it didn't happen.
Two different
So that's where you have to get your dates and your timing all
Yeah.
all in line, because as I said, if they say that they were slaves to England in the 1700s and England didn't exist in name at that time, then somebody's lying to you.
Yeah.
Gotta really find that out.
Yeah, you gotta have the timeline.
Yes,
Right,
absolutely.
right.
So then you mentioned Rothschild. You said Rothschild goes back to the 15th and 1600s. Started in Germany.
Right.
Which part of Germany? Look at, as you said, Red Shield. The Red Shield was a Moor shield,
Mm.
and it has all the evidence of that. So it all came from you.
And then when we look at the timeline, when you're talking about Europeans in the 1500s, 1600s, they weren't in no political power position. They were subordinate at that time,
Yeah. Exactly.
right? Like they didn't have the power like they have today. When people say Rothschilds, they go, "Oh, you talk about them." They didn't have that power back then as Europeans. You know what I mean? They were serfs.
Still don't.
You know, they still don't. In a, you know what I mean? Esoteric sense. You know, in the hands-on world, you know what I mean? They,
No, but they understood the power. I'm not
Right,
saying that they're
right.
powerful, like in the
Yeah,
sense
yeah,
of the
yeah,
power
yeah.
over me. I'm
Right.
just saying.
they know they had the power. Yeah, they knew what the power was.
Well,
Right.
power is what you give
Yeah.
to it,
Right.
right? So if we give them the power, then they have the power,
Right.
right? So that's why in terms of your title, if you know the ancestral meaning of your title, you know where the power lies.
Oh,
So when you
I'll
look
check
at,
the
like, for
state as well.
instance, Toronto, or Ontario, or Canada,
Got it?
it's new stuff. There's no power there. It's just power because they exert it and people fear that power. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I was speaking to a couple of guys and they were, go back to Justin Trudeau, they're gonna institute back the survey. So that they're gonna come around to your house and, you know, ask you questions and all that. If you say, oh shit, I don't wanna answer no question, then don't answer.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
really,
it.
like, what are you
That's
afraid
it.
of? If they ask you, okay, answer, but give them an answer. Give them your answer. Don't give them the answer that they wanna hear or you want them to hear. Just give them an answer.
And then look at that too, that the individuals, they don't wanna answer because, oh no, they're the government or whatever like that. Really what it is that European is their God.
Yeah.
And they fear their God. And they're not gonna do anything to get their God mad to come put some sanctions on them or whatever like that. When, you know, it's really, you know, Europeans are fellow men.
Yeah.
You know, nobody has no more anything that we have that we can't stand up and assert our whatever it is that we want to assert, whether it's right, whether it's knowledge, whatever, right? But they have us in such a docile, passive, you know what I mean, don't know who we are position that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, they're just picking up power, like they're just walking behind Negroes, just picking up power.
Like a grocery store.
You know what I mean? Right? We also want to check estate.
Yeah, so estate, the interest which anyone has in land or in any other subject or property. An estate in lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such interest as the tenant has therein. In this sense, estate is constantly used in conveyances in connection with the words right, title, and interest, and is, in a great degree, synonymous with all of them. The degree, quantity, nature, and extent of interest which a person has in real property is usually referred to as an estate, and it varies from absolute ownership down to naked possession. In another sense, estate designates the property, real or personal, in which one has a right of or interest, the subject matter of ownership, the corpus of property. Thus we speak of a valuable estate, all my estate, separate estate, trust estate, etc. This also is its meaning in the classification of property into real estate and personal estate, quote unquote. There is no such legal entity as an estate. It is a convenient phrase to identify the subject of litigation in the orphan's court, and in proceedings in rem, it may be treated as harmless superfluity, but as a designation of a party to be served with a writ, it is unknown to the law. It cannot be made the plaintiff in an action, as it is not a person and cannot sue or be sued with case law.
Oh, and quickly check status too. Keep in mind, estate, right? So, title to your vast estate, the title ties you to lands, hereditaments, rights, and interests. So when we say that we're Moorish American and I am Cujo L,
In that case, from the word title go above, like I had in for those list of names you have coming down there, since you're mentioning interest, right, hereditaments.
no, because remember title is also title also is connected to, like when they say relative to property, instead of having a deed or ownership,
You have title.
you have title,
Yeah.
which isn't, you know, like title and then list the stuff on it, right? They're talking about that there's an actual instrument.
That's again another word that because
Yeah, the double meaning.
As
Yeah,
a foreigner,
yeah.
I see the word title, it looks like title, like title something, like.
Right.
Where is
Right.
it? Yeah.
It's an actual instrument.
Okay. No. Okay, that makes sense.
The title.
Okay.
Title of property.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like Moors would say, if you buy property, you buy a car,
Yeah.
you put down you don't want them to give you ownership, you want them to give you title.
Yeah.
But if they give you ownership, that means that state of whatever has this. And they're giving you the title, they're giving you the ownership that you think you own, but you don't really own it because you have the ownership. You don't have the title, which is really tying you to ownership.
Yeah. So you know, if you could help me here, I mean, I have to speak like this. If you could help me here, as a kindergarten student, and you're learning to spell,
Yeah.
they'll tell you A for apple, B for bat, C for whatever.
Yeah.
But there's always a something that represents the word, right? And we're taking words to represent words. Where do we get to where we can say, hey, this is what it is? Like when a child is learning to speak, chair, book.
Well, in the sense of
that title.
in the sense of title,
Yeah.
you probably won't. I mean, I know for example, one of the brothers in near DC.
How does that get meat in my section?
Yeah. One of the brothers in DC actually has the certificate,
Okay.
the actual thing to show. So I'll get a copy of it.
Yeah.
So you can actually look at one to know that this is what a title is.
Right. Okay.
Out here, I don't think it's even accessible because the dealership is down with the corporation to make sure that they, as soon as the car comes off the lot or whatever like that, they send the title in to get the ownership. They don't even touch the title. Automatically they send it, so they have the ownership. So when you buy it, you're getting the ownership. So we won't really have that tangible thing out here to show, but I'll work on getting a title so that you can actually have that in.
That illustration just shows the whole dynamics between being property and having your title, because as property, we get the stuff from the government.
Right. Property can't own property.
Own property. But as an El Bede or Ali, like you said, the dude in DC, he has the actual certificate. Like this belongs to a living, breathing person, flesh and blood, as opposed to fiction.
This is a corporate being.
And each of those
person.
names is also a title, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But this is but these names is title. Right. These names is title reference to the other stuff that we had on. Even though some of these.
Bear with me. Okay?
Yeah, no, I get you. Status?
Oh, okay. So in law, status, standing, state, or condition. The legal relation of individual to rest of the community. The rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class. A legal personal relationship, not temporary in its nature nor terminable at the mere will of the parties, with which third persons in the state are concerned. While term implies relation, it is not a mere relation. It also means estate because it signifies the condition or circumstances in which one stands with regard to his property.
Right.
In
So
the yearbooks it was used in this sense.
So our titles, put us in a specific status. And status does not only mean relation to who you are, but it also means estate, which means lands, which is hereditaments that are handed down. Right?
I get it.
Right? Okay? So Our name, Moorish American. Our religion, Islamism, esoteric sciences, metaphysics, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Our title,
Tickle or tickle.
El Bede Al Ali,
Tickle. Right.
ties us to our estate. And then our estate is the lands that we're and our lands are tied. Our lands are, or our vast estate are the lands that we're on, that we have dominion over.
We're, right? The ones that we wear and stand on, right?
Right. Right. Anybody got any questions or comments?
Yeah, so well, just to kind of tie back, right? To go back to where we started with name now. When you have a title, right? And the title,
Which
El,
title?
when you use the title El Bede Ali, right? And as it says, status, a legal personal relationship not temporary in its nature, nor terminable at the mere will of the parties with which third persons and the state are concerned. Okay, that's key, right? It's not terminable, it's not temporary and not terminable at the mere will of the parties, which means that that relationship, right, that status, that relationship, that legal status that existed with the Els and the Beys, the Alis, and every other nation on the planet ever since, right, is not terminable just because some agent of theirs says that it is, or some agent of a corporation that claims that they're them says that it is. It's not possible. That's not how the law works. That's not status. That's something else. So that's what they claim. That's not what they're talking about. Your title is always your title. Your estate is always your estate. Your status is always your status. If you claim it, you claim it. If you don't, then
they're claiming it.
And then somebody else usurps it.
Right.
To
Exactly.
To add on, that law is based on common law, and again, common law trumps all the other laws out there, and that ties us back to our ancient foremothers and forefathers. So when we realign ourselves to our title, you know, our religion, everything just everything just comes in harmony, and you're better able to navigate through like your day-to-day oppressions that you face, because once you get into that frame of mind, then pretty much nothing can stop. You can cast whatever spells you want. You understand the symbols, you understand what you're dealing with, you understand the words and jurisdictions, and then you can pretty much go through them, like just navigate without being obstructed.
So for example, with the brother with the Nigerian brother, right? Because he didn't have a license, right? He didn't have a driver's license on his possession. Mm-hmm. He had a nationality card that stated that he
is one of those.
Is one of these, right? They couldn't say he's AKA one of these because he had this, which as far as the definition, status is not terminable by the mere will of the parties. They couldn't play this game with him, saying, oh, well, we have this, which says Zebra name, and then then he's giving us something that says their name, so we're going to say AKA. So on the transcript, it actually says Bay on the transcript for the court, which is something that they don't do. They throw it out and tell you, you know, we're not even going to deal with this matter before they say put this on the transcript, because if they put it on the transcript, then that's precedent. Once they put Bay down on the transcript, once they say, okay, here's the transcript for the court case that you had, right? And the court case that you had doesn't have the name from the driver's license or the birth certificate, but it has the name of ID that you have in your pocket that came from your body of individuals that isn't tied to them, right? That means that they are acknowledging that this is real. Because otherwise they wouldn't put this on, they'll put the name of the license on. But they didn't have a license from him.
They had his ID.
They had his ID.
Yeah.
So now throughout the whole case or whatever, that they were adjourning, come back next month. Then you go to court and well come back next week. Then you go to court and come back again or whatever like that. Then finally they go ahead with the trial. Throughout the whole transcript, the judge is basically telling on everybody. Like telling the police were in violation of whatever section is that because he said that he is and you guys didn't go there. Police is in violation of whatever because you're trying to tell him that he didn't give you ID when all you need is a picture and an address on anything. Once you have a picture and an address on anything, that qualifies as ID. And he told him all of this stuff, put in the transcript, and then now the transcript sets precedent that you don't need their stuff. But that's only if you have the title. If you're Negro, black, colored, you better have their stuff or they're gonna come for you.
So impropriate persona is key. Being in right person.
In his own right, proper status. That it's not terminable at the will of whoever's trying to violate you. Once you put your status on the record to them, they have to go with what you put on the record. Because this also sets up the jurisdiction. So if you're saying that you're this, then clearly you're not part of the colonial corporations, the crown corporations that they say are governments today. Wherever it is that you go, like worldwide. So that's why you have people, just like the picture up there, Moro, not Filipino. Because Filipino is a corporate tag, brand, that certain people don't want to be recognized as. Because they realize that it takes them out of their vast estate.
So it's kind of like Coca-Cola versus Cola, right? Like where Coca-Cola is the brand versus Cola.
It's more like
Kleenex and tissue.
it's more like Cola Nut versus Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so more.
And Cola Nut is trying to say, well, why are you trying to label us as the stuff in the can?
Okay.
We're on the tree, roots in the ground.
Indigenous, yeah.
We're indigenous. We're native. We're not the can.
No,
we're not the after effect.
Not like GMO. Not like GMO.
Right? We're not Pepsi.
Not GMO.
We're not DC
Yeah.
Cola. We're not any version of derivative of genetically modified version of whatever. We're the actual real thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that the value added, right?
No additives. Zero additives. In its purest form. Right? So that's name, religion, and title to your vast estate. Oh, let me see if there's any questions. All right. So that's that.
Actually, let me ask, in regards, okay, I'm looking through the Holy Quran right now.
Yeah.
Chapter 17, right? And number 10, it states, "Behold, for I have risen from the dead with gifts for men. I bring to you the title of your vast estate." And this is what Yahshua had said. Who and what is the vast estate? If we could build on that for a second.
Just went over that.
Where is that? In the Bible?
Well, no, it's in the Quran.
Okay.
So, what is the vast estate? is a good question to ask.
When I came across that, I immediately realized that was in reference to us. Immediately.
See what I'm saying? So that has to do with the title. L's, the days, the L's, the days, and the L's.
And that risen from the dead was more of
Mental-
symbolic.
mental
It was symbolic. It wasn't physical. It was symbolic.
Yeah.
Okay.
That coming back from the dead wasn't, oh, I died and I came back.
Died and came back.
I was dead mentally.
Yeah.
And now I'm awake.
Does the symbol of the phoenix, does that link to like rising, like does that have any correlation to more like Mars or anything? That's something else. Like, you always see that symbol.
Yeah, more so, it's for anything
Oh, okay, cool.
coming out of,
Yeah. I
you
just
know what I mean,
wondered.
coming out
Yeah.
of death again,
Cool.
right? Rising from the dead,
Yeah.
because the Phoenix story is, it's burning up and coming into life,
Kind of like an alchemy.
right?
Kinda.
Alchemical process.
Okay.
So even if you want to look at it from that perspective,
Okay.
that it's an actual alchemical lesson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of the phoenix bird,
Okay.
Jean Grey turning
Yes,
into
I
a
was just
phoenix,
about
and
to mention
then
that, yeah.
Jean Grey?
from X-Men.
In X-Men,
Oh,
X-Men,
okay.
yeah. That's the
That-
same
that's
term,
the
yeah.
story that
Yeah.
they're relating to her,
True.
Yeah.
right?
True.
Because nothing could stop her when she wakes up.
When she came into the sense that, oh,
Wait a second.
I'm actually not. This is not
Yeah.
what it's about.
Yeah.
There's a higher thing than
Yeah, she's not basic, but she's like
not
like
basic,
not a basic
advanced,
superhero kind of.
right? Another thing too, with regard to the title, to just put out there is
Title or fiddle?
Holy Quran. Holy Quran chapter 47.
No need to ask, I don't want to confuse.
Rising from the dead. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. Oh, but actually before that. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. Right? So, according to all true divine records, there is no Negro, black, or colored races, which is the death. Right? That's the dead beings. Right? What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. So if we go back to the minds of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, we realize that we can't be Negro, black, colored, African, or whatever, because our ancient forefathers didn't call themselves by those terms or by those names.
Which is correct, because every stem cell is the blueprint of everything that comes before it.
There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. So nobody can make you something other than what your ancient foremothers and forefathers were unless they got more power than the higher force.
That is dark particles.
Right? Which they don't think they got that much power.
Yeah.
So even in Negro, black, colored ignorance, there's still more.
There's still more. Even
if they don't want to admit
even
it.
if they don't want to admit it,
You are what you.
Even
you
if
are
they-
what your ancient foremothers and forefathers were.
Even if they want to kumbaya,
But that's
go
the-
beyond,
yeah.
go beyond and get all spiritual. The spirit is waiting for more. Because it was created as a more in the spirit, for you to have certain tendencies, for you to have certain types of personality, for you to behave a certain way. That's what the Holy Quran says. Allah makes man in nations. You know, Allah doesn't make, you know.
I have a question. How do you you have a thing called backward engineering?
Reverse.
Yes.
Yeah, no, there is backwards engineering too. That's when you start with something that's already complete and you deconstruct
And
it
you
to see how it was
deconstruct it
made.
to see how it was
Yeah.
made, right? To get us where we are, we were constructed mentally this way.
Mm.
How do you undo that? To get us
That's
where
what
we
that's
were?
what the whole
Study,
that's what
study,
all this
study.
all
Okay.
DVDs that's
Yeah,
what
but
that's
you see
about.
that takes a time.
Yeah,
Takes a
yeah,
while, right?
yeah. It's
No,
not
no.
it's not gonna be overnight.
No, it can be.
It can be,
It
but
can
you know,
be, but
we
don't
have to
the
be
technology yet to do it.
we have to be lined up on a certain vibration for it to happen overnight like that. And majority of our people, 99% of our people,
No.
they're not that like, you know, by example of, you know, our friend.
No, man, this
Well,
It's
you
not-
know,
it's not gonna
I've been
happen
I've been searching
overnight.
I've been searching for methodology for a long time that could
Yeah.
sort of make it happen quickly.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah, well,
sense.
you know, as an electrician, you know, you're
that's just one of the things.
right. No, but I mean, it's like a light switch.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to work for you because of your mindset, right? It's supposed to be that fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put the two things on, and then you got lights. Like,
There
what's
you
the
go.
big deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you with all the things that have been done to our people,
in the past.
you know what I mean?
That's
It's gonna be
Well, if we
It's
think
a
of it
team-
in
it's a
computer
little process.
in computer lingo, right?
yeah,
You got a disk that's got a whole bunch of crap in it, right? You demagnetize it, and it's
Right.
a clean slate. You can
Right.
now start packing the real stuff in
but
it.
but
if
then
you start writing stuff over what's there,
yeah. But
it-
see, like, but the issue with the
Sorry.
the issue with the disc
yeah.
is that once you wipe it, you might also lose stuff that you need.
Exactly. So you
So
can't.
you don't-
I
you
tell
can't
something,
completely-
I've been given this at a wipe, and I could go
And
back
the
and
stuff
pull
go
all
back
the
and pull
back
stuff.
up.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
too. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you don't really. What's there
It's
is
not really
there.
clean, yeah.
It's not what's there is there. It's
Yeah.
what is important you need to
That you
have
need, right,
access
right,
to,
right,
right?
right.
That has to be fresh.
Yeah,
So you have to
yeah.
find a way of of covering it up.
Yeah.
It's not really you can get it if you need it,
Right.
but you can cover it up and still put the new stuff and not let that old stuff
Right, or
interfere with
interfere
the
with the new stuff, right,
Right,
That's why
right.
in this whole journey
Right.
of divine national movement, it's you really have to suspend everything you were talking about.
Well, I was going to give you a hint. There is a way right now that we can do that.
You put it in sectors, right?
Huh?
You put that bad information in different sectors on that computer.
Compartmentalize.
And compartmentalize.
Yeah, you
That's
compartmentalize it,
what
but
they're
they have developed ways of doing that now where you can basically have a lot of programming in a person in a very short
NLP.
period of time.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to know how to do it, and
Yeah,
a lot of us
yeah.
don't have that.
Yeah, that's
experience.
yeah, I know, that's
Study.
I mean, computers do it.
immediate
you know?
download. Just plug a guy in.
Oh shit.
Let's do the
I mean,
matrix.
there's people alive today that do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
guys, they call them idiot savants. They
Yeah.
pick up a book and just kind of
And they have it.
They have it. They can tell you what page, what line, you know, what
Okay.
number.
Yeah.
you
Okay,
know.
yeah, as I said, that's fine, but at the end of the day, they have to go to sleep. They cannot stay awake for the whole time. They have to go to sleep to
Regurgitate.
basically rejuvenate what they've lost that throughout that whole day. So that information, yes, once they're awake, they have that, but they gotta go to sleep. They gotta go and power themselves back up again. So that's in line with what we're talking about in terms of the information. Yeah, you could pick this up in a day, but then you go back tomorrow and you find out, wait a second, we were on Mars, though. Should I gotta go find out about that now? See what I'm saying? So it's an always ongoing learning, always.
It's
No
like-
matter
it's
how
like,
much you
um,
find out.
You see what concerns me, right? Is the way we've been programmed.
Okay.
Like, and I use the example
Yeah, that's-
of like you're going down the street, a light turns red,
Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
stop, and you
Yeah.
say, "What?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
did I stop for?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
that
yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
And how do you get that out of you where you it's a red light, so you cross.
Yeah.
But you look left, you look right, it's clear you go
Right,
across,
right,
right?
right, right.
That's common sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's
Right.
that's
But
where it
that's
is right
what's
there.
Common
Huh?
for you.
That's where it is though.
Yeah, but that's what it should be.
Not
That's
for
how-
everybody because
that's
common sense isn't common now.
Huh?
Common sense isn't common now.
It's
Oh,
it's a learned art now.
You know what I mean? Yeah, now common sense is like, you know what I
For
mean?
example, I used to say I'm driving. It took me a while to start saying I'm traveling.
No, Oh, hell
That's
yeah.
when I'm born till this day I've been driving.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking of,
Doesn't
like,
go like
if
this
you
and it's hard to say traveling.
like you tell somebody it's traveling,
Yeah.
that next time they do it, they don't even have to think of it, they're just traveling, like, they don't even think of it. There is a method to do it, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
No, honestly, the start.
Say you know it already, yeah.
Another thing I wanted to add on to what
You wanna talk to you guys about?
Omari was saying was that in that same chapter, the way
Next weekend.
Yeah.
the way they that Quran finished, to me sealed the deal when he was talking about come back to the vast estate and what I've done, and then to me what sealed the deal is at the end when he said what I've done all men can
All
do.
men,
Yeah.
that's.
Meaning that it's
yes.
within everybody's
It is
ability
within.
to get back to where they're supposed to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that's what sealed that
Right.
that
Yes.
chapter for me.
Yes.
He basically telling everybody what I've done all men can do. Like to reawaken what's in your genetic code isn't some crazy science that you have to go through. You see what I'm saying? It's in you, and it's just whether or not you have the ability to awaken it.
Right.
How you wake it,
That's
how you wake it.
that's the meaning of dying for their sins.
Exactly.
The Christians don't take in whatever way they take it. But that's the highest meaning of it, is that he died for your sins. I mean, he died, and if you look up the definition of sin, it means to miss the mark. So he died because you missed the mark, to show you that you could get the mark.
Yeah.
Not oh well, you did bad things, so you know we're gonna do a ritual where we hang this brother, and then because he's bleeding and we did this ritual, you paid for these wrong. No, it's not a payment thing. It's I died to show you, right, that you can do this.
Yeah.
Because you and you're just the same flesh.
It's funny you say that, because when I got into this information, my comparison of Noble Drew Ali was with Joshua. As far as, he challenged the status quo, he challenged the quote unquote corporate law, the Romans, and he pretty much, like, the terms he was using, like, let the dead bury the dead. And when I started understanding what the dead was, being civil mortus, he pretty much came to tell people that they're part of a nation, like, wake up.
Yeah.
And then Noble Drew Ali comes and he just pretty much cleans up. He's like the sweeper in the soccer game. Like, cleans up. So it's really real, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people really don't get it. I don't know if it's because, again, I've feel chosen and all that stuff, but some people, it's like if they got it, like everything that they're going through, again, with our friends.
Yeah, but even with Drew Ali saying that, some of my good Moors are in the church.
But to draw on what this brother just said, you use the word if you get it, right?
Yeah.
The reason people don't get it is no different to if I came in the room and I wanted to, we all have our cell phones, right? And we turn it off. But then some of us don't. Like, I didn't turn mine off. But if I wanted, there's a device I could put in this room that would basically blank all the frequencies. So once you're here, no cell phone would ring.
Right. Yeah.
So the reason a lot of us, I guess, don't get it is because we're in an environment that has this same means of neutralizing the information, so it doesn't get to you, so you don't get it.
Yeah, that's 100% correct.
That's it. That's
Right?
100%.
I mean, if you're living in a building and there's like seven of these cell phone towers on top of the building, you'll never get it. You'll get all the information here, and by the time you go there, it's wiped out. You gotta come back here the next day to get it again. And you go there and it's wiped out. Until you move from there to where you're in a nice, quiet, far away from all that radiation shit. And you sit down and say, holy shit, I got it.
I'll add on to that. You know what's funny, because the line of business I'm in, like, it takes me everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and into a lot of rural areas, and like from the point of me navigating from where I reside to, like, let's say I got to go into like Bush Mountain, where, you know what I mean, hillbillies live. Like, we wouldn't even think that hillbillies are up here, but there's hillbillies up here. And that process of getting from my place to their place, by the time I get into their area, everything is different. Everything feels different.
Exactly.
I was like,
Thinking
it's like light doesn't look the same anymore.
Yeah.
I'm smelling things that I didn't smell before.
Yeah.
I'm hearing noises
Smog.
that anything existed anymore. That's 100%. And to me, it's just like, and the way they speak and the way they talk about things is different. Like you think a hillbilly doesn't like quote unquote, right, black people, right?
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
But these guys, they're chopping it up with me. They wanna, you know what I mean, show me and then they'll tell you that they know that, you know what I mean, there was indigenous people before them. Because they're talking about how their families, let's say the one dude was telling me, he's like, oh, my family goes back 200 years. So I asked him, I'm like, 200 years? I'm like, so who the hell was here before that? And then, you know what I mean, all of a sudden, you know what I mean, little details started coming out on who was actually here before that, who their family were dealing with, and how they got possession of the land that they have there now. So I hear you when you say
Let me
that.
give you a little hint. If you got a bedroom that's next to one of these so-called meters, or what they call them?
Hydrometers?
No, they got a name for them. They call them, they don't come and read them. They send their signal. Smart meters. If you're sleeping next to a smart meter, it doesn't matter how many times, how many books you read there, by the time you wake up next morning, it's like,
There's a lot of issues that smart
there's a
meters
lot of
do.
issues with those things, man.
So I'm about to step off.
All right, bro.
I know what's going on, but yo, hear this. I was gonna say, like, basically, I feel like a lot of it has to do with like humbling yourself for sure. You know what I mean? I feel like when you get stripped of everything, yo, you have no choice but to find your own inner strength, and then that's when you really get into your own like God power. In my opinion,
For real.
I really feel that a lot of it has to do with getting rid of distractions and focusing on what's important, and then you'll have the immediate and long-term answers, you know what I mean? Just by searching in yourself. So that's all I really wanted to say. But then I was talking about computers and stuff.
And then even to add on,
It's a love, yo.
to add on to that, deeply, if you ever experiencing bad sleep,
Yeah.
the easiest and the best way.
All right. Yeah.
The easiest and best way to change your sleeping pattern is to unplug all your electronics.
Yeah.
Unplug your Wi-Fi, because the
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi is the first one that's going to keep you not getting into your deep stages of sleep. So what I do every night, well, I used to anyway, falling off a little bit. What I'll do is I just plug up my power bar, because everything's attached to the power bar. So the Wi-Fi comes off, the TV comes off, because even when the TV's off, it's still emitting a signal, right? Even your fridge too, but obviously, you know what I mean?
Listen, when you put a cell phone to your ear, it doesn't care where it sends its signal, it's sending right through your head. You know? And that's your computer. That's your computer. And if you're sending other signals there, they'll say, well, which one are we talking about? Oh, no, it's confusion.
And that's why
I'm just giving you a little hint.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I tell people to use the earpiece that you plug in, not the Bluetooth, because that's even worse. You use the earpiece that you plug into your phone and you keep your phone away from your ear. I argue with my woman about that all the time. I'm like, stop putting the phone in your ear. Because you're not going to notice the effects now until you're way older. You know, obviously you're not hearing that ear, or, you know what I mean?
I'll give you a hint. When you go to the hospitals, they've got these caps that they put on you, like when they do sleep studies. And what it's doing, it's reading signals that your brain is putting out. Now imagine, your brain is putting out signals, and you put a device that's putting out its own signals at a microwave level. What do you use a microwave oven for? To cook food, right? Right? How does it cook the food? It increases the vibration of the H2O that's in the food, and by the friction of bouncing, it heats it up. What do you think is happening to your brain?
100%.
Right? So like I said, I don't care what you learn, you could scramble that very easily in no time in the wrong environment, and you can learn a lot more being in the right environment.
100%. 100%.
All right, Morris, let's close out. Good one today. All Islam to all the Moors online. We got about 20 something today. Which is good. We'll just face the east. Fan on the left, toward the right. Allah, the Father of the universe. Father of love. Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Ashe.
If you need change.
Islam Moors.